Never before in the 29-year history of the Cleveland Browns was there a season like the season of 1974. The Browns won only 4 games, lost 10, and for the first time since Art Modell purchased the franchise, never challenged for a title. When the disastrous season finally ended, the winds of change swirled through Cleveland's huge municipal stadium. The biggest change and the most drastic facelift in Cleveland history came on January 22nd, when before a crowded press conference in the Stadium Club, owner Art Modell announced that Forrest Gregg would be the Browns' new head coach.
Forrest Gregg, the 4th head coach in Browns history.
Well, I would have to say that I was greatly influenced by Vince Lombardi. It was really truly a pleasure to have played for the man. He's a great football coach. I did learn a lot from Lombardi, but I'm not Vince Lombardi and will not try to be. I think every coach has to coach according to his own personality.
I might say this, if I can interject one thought. In the past 3 weeks, I might have spoken to at least a dozen of former teammates, coaches, front office people involved with the Packers and the Cowboys. And if this man is half the man they tell me he was, and they think he still is, then we'll be all right.
Forrest Gregg brings to the Browns a background of 14 years as a Green Bay Packer. By the time he played his final game, Gregg had been All-Pro 8 times. Vince Lombardi called him the finest player I ever coached. Last year as Cleveland's line coach, he did an outstanding job. And what was a team weakness at the start of the season was a team strength by its end. With a year in Cleveland under his belt, the new head coach knows the needs of his club. Indeed, much of what he witnessed in 1974 displeased him, but there were high spots too. In the second week of the season, 2 of the Browns' brightest young stars were showcased. It was Steve Holden by air and Greg Pruitt by land, as Cleveland easily defeated vastly improved Houston. The most welcome sight was Steve Holden, number 88, hauling in 5 passes, all ending with bruising, head-over-heels tackles. Holden proved that he was the big play performer the team needed so badly at wide receiver. But against Houston, he suffered severe knee damage. The Browns had their first victory, but the cost was high, for Steve Holden would miss the next 4 games. Without him, Cleveland lost them all. With 4 straight defeats, there was little to smile about. The team was out of the division race and appeared to be on the precipice of disaster as the Denver Broncos came to the stadium. It was a game the Browns had to win. But Cleveland showed no offense and little defense as Denver dominated all day. Well into the final period, the Broncos led the sluggish Browns 21-9. Then, forced to punt on 4th down, Don Cockcroft pulled off the surprise of the afternoon. The fake punt put Cleveland on the Denver 16, but Brian Sipe, who had replaced starter Mike Phipps, was soon faced with another 4th down situation. This time, there was no doubt about the Browns' intentions.
The 4th down on the 16-yard line. They got to get to the 6 to get a first down. 6.5 minutes to play. Here's Sipe back to throw, rolling to his right. Looks, throws. It is caught by Holden. Holden inside the 6-yard line for the first down on about the 3. And he's down there. Thompson's an man to make the tackle. First down and goal to go on the 3-yard line.
It's a big one. He had to get it deep. Now, the Browns have got to get this thing. The clock is running now at 6 minutes, but they've got to get it in here and not spend 2 or 3 minutes.
Sipe is 4 out of 6. 21-9 Denver. The clock, of course, is working against the Browns. Sipe rolls back. He's going to run up the middle with it. He's down to the 5, to the 2, to the 1. Touchdown! The score, Denver 21, Cleveland 16. And the big cheer goes up as Denver has to punt with 3:40 remaining and the clock is running. And the Browns will be looking up into the sun. Good snap. Kicks away. To Pruitt. Got it on the 25. Beautiful block thrown by Carden. He's to the 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. Pruitt to the 40. With a man to beat, he's down to the 30. Pruitt to the 20. 15 down to the 10. He's dropped down on the 4-yard line. Greg Pruitt with a magnificent return. The Browns are back in the ball game.
Oh, my. In the last 6 minutes, it's all broken loose here. Yes, the Browns still have to get it in.
72 yards officially.
72-yard return for Greg. Well, he's the boy that can do it. Man.
A few people left the stadium, but very few. There's very little traffic out there. Ball's a foot from the goal line. Sight reaching under. Quarterback sneak. Oh, he rolls to the right. He's in for a touchdown! Sight hit the middle of the line, and he got nowhere, and he rolled out and turned right in, and there was nobody within 10 yards of him.
Unbelievable give.
You can hear the fans counting it off. That's the end of today's game.
The Browns came up with 14 points here in the final quarter. After the first 3 quarters, they had just 3 field goals.
Trailing 21-9 going into the 4th quarter, and Brian Sipe, along with a great return by Greg Pruitt, pulled them out. The Browns have upset the Denver Broncos. The final score, the Browns 23, the Broncos 21.
The next Sunday in San Diego, Brian Sipe returned to his hometown a hero. With a torrent of short and medium-range passes to a semi-healthy Steve Holden, the former star from San Diego State had a brilliant afternoon. The young backfield of Holden, McGinnis, and Pruitt each scored once, while Brian Sipe went 16 of 23, and for the second week in a row scored 2 touchdowns. But in this high-scoring game, the Chargers were just as explosive. They threw 3 long bombs to overtake the Browns by a point with just 55 seconds remaining in the game. Cleveland's defense had again shown a disturbing penchant for permitting the big play. But as he had done repeatedly in his 2 years as a pro, little Greg Pruitt came through when he was needed most. Pruitt's 61-yard return and a subsequent swing pass to him for 14 more put the Browns on the Chargers 6. Now with just 22 seconds left, Cleveland called a play designed to kill more time, so as an almost certain Cockcroft field goal would be the winner. The play was a sneak, one of football's simplest and safest. But here, with the NFL's most accurate kicker waiting in the wings, Brian's song went sour. It was a play that symbolized the season. The next week on the East Coast, Greg Pruitt continued what he began on the West Coast. On the opening kickoff, Pruitt floated patiently behind his blocking wedge, then burst free to go 88 yards for a touchdown against New England. On the very next series, Cleveland's defense got a score when Charlie Hall hit Mac Herron from behind. His fumble was gathered in by Tom Darton and taken 29 yards to pay dirt. With less than 2 minutes gone in the game, Cleveland led 14-0. In this game, the defense atoned for its generosity in San Diego, harassing Jim Plunkett into 4 interceptions, 2 by Tom Darden, who had his best day as a pro. The Browns' defeat of the Eastern Division leaders fatally damaged their playoff hopes. What's more, Cleveland's thieving secondary began a stretch where it stole 12 passes in 4 games. In the sleet and snow of the finale at Municipal Stadium, the elements and the Browns' defense combined to clamp down on the San Francisco 49ers. The secondary intercepted just 1 pass less than the 49ers completed. 5 thefts in all, 2 of them by rookie safety Eddie Brown. The shutout of San Francisco ended an amazing streak in which the defense allowed a total of only 10 pass completions in 3 games. The single biggest factor in the Browns' poor showing was a lack of pass rush from the carousel of defensive ends that played in 1974. Thus, the draft was vital.
Cleveland Browns. Cleveland Browns first-round selection. Mac Mitchell, defensive end, Houston.
Massive Mac Mitchell, number 83, is a frightening figure to quarterbacks, hunting them down with unbelievable quickness for a man who stands 6'8" and is still growing. The Browns expect Mitchell to step right in and put teeth to the pass rush. One of the most pleasant developments of the past season was the steady play of rookie Mike Seifert at right end. But the tackle tandem of Jerry Shirk and Walter Johnson were the mainstays of the front 4. The giant Johnson, number 71, continued to stop the run. But more than ever, he and Shirk were counted on to pressure the passer because of the weakness at left end. Super quick Jerry Shirk, number 72, was the team's strongest pass rusher. The younger half of the tackle partnership came into his own with a brilliant season. Behind them in the middle is number 60, Bob Babbage, a heavy hitter with a nose for the ball. Led by Babbage, the Browns linebackers defend against the pass exceptionally well. On the outside is rangy Charlie Hall, number 59. On the right is speedy John Garlington, number 50, who is fast enough to outrun his mistakes. With number 53, Mel Long, and number 56, Jim Romanishin, the best headhunters on the bomb squad, linebacker is the deepest unit on the team and should be a major contributor to Forrest Gregg's peace of mind next year. Slender Clarence Scott is the defensive captain and left cornerback. Opposing passers rarely challenge him, for he covers his man like an overcoat. Scott was a big reason the Browns' secondary ranked second only to Pittsburgh in pass defense in the American Conference. Free safety Tom Darden had plenty of reason to smile about his performance. He led the team with 8 interceptions. Darden and Scott were the strengths of the secondary, but right cornerback was the Achilles heel. Cliff Brooks, number 23, had his moments, but was susceptible to the long pass. So volatile Van Green was switched from safety to cornerback and replaced with number 28, Eddie Brown, who had a fine rookie year. As expected, Green had difficulties in a strange position, but his coverage improved, and he kept his reputation as a vicious tackler. Like a guided missile launched at a target, number 21 is at the point of destruction. And in 1975, Van Green, with his reckless abandon, will return to his true position at strong safety. The change can be made because the new coaching staff feels they picked 2 solid candidates in the draft who will challenge for the vacant corner spot. Cleveland's third choice was number 16, Oklahoma's highly rated Tony Peters. while the 6th pick was West Virginia's aggressive Charlie Miller, number 21. Cleveland's most valuable player may well be Don Cockcroft. Cockcroft's field goal percentage was an unbelievable 88%. He missed only 2 all year, both near midfield. It was the second most accurate kicking performance in league history. Forrest Gregg's offensive line is easily the most improved element of the team. By season's end, they were opening gaping holes for Pruitt, Hugh McGinnis, and Ken Brown. Upgrading of the ground game is essential next season, and further maturing from the forward wall will be needed to achieve that goal. The tackles will be 2 Illini, 6'6" Doug Deacon, and number 79, surprising Jerry Sullivan, who became a starter in his rookie year. His development could enable Gregg to switch John DeMare to center and move number 78, Bob McKay, into DeMare spotted guard. The key to these changes is the blossoming of young Pete Adams as a potential all-pro guard. A first-round draft choice, Adams never stopped hitting, and number 69 became a dangerous man on the sweep, with a combination of speed and power missing in Cleveland since Gene Hickerson's heyday. One of the recipients of Adams' ability as a pulling guard was versatile Kenny Brown, number 30. While Brown and Pruitt depend on speed and quickness, powerful Hugh McGinnis, number 37, provides much-needed muscle at fullback. The Browns are counting on McGinnis and rookies Billy Pritchett and Henry Hynoski to inject even more power at the position next year. Gregg Pruitt was a marked man in 1974. The tattered jersey was his trademark as the Mighty Mite from Oklahoma became the Browns' chief offensive weapon. Pruitt was simply everywhere, scoring touchdowns, catching passes, and even throwing them. He brought the option pass back to the Browns' playbook, hitting 2 out of 2, each for a long touchdown. Pruitt led the team in punt returns and was the best in the American Conference in kickoffs. He also brought back the longest of the year. Altogether, the little scatback led or was second in 8 different offensive categories for the Browns. Next season, under Forrest Gregg, Pruitt will see even more action and will continue to not only fill the shoes of the great Leroy Kelly, but to challenge Bobby Mitchell as the most exciting open field runner in Cleveland history. The firm conviction throughout the Cleveland organization is that Mike Phipps has the talent needed to be a superior quarterback. He was under heavy pressure last year because of the lack of talent at wide receiver. 1974 was not a banner year for Cleveland quarterbacks. But because of Brian Sipe, the Browns know they have two capable of starting. Sipe had a storybook season, coming off the bench to spark the victory over Denver and leading the win over New England. But he, too, along with Mike Phipps, was betrayed by the lack of quality at the one wide receiver spot. Tight end is one position where there is no worry, however, for it's in the excellent hands of Milt Morin, whose great concentration makes him the man to go to in crucial situations. But the big story was Steve Holden, who emerged from his cocoon to dazzle opponents with his size and speed. Though he missed nearly half the season and was double-teamed consistently, the former Arizona State star showed that he is indeed the long ball receiver the team so badly needs. The new staff knows it will be difficult for the Holden-Phipps partnership to flourish without a genuine threat on the other side. Thus, a bevy of talented candidates have been added. Reggie Rucker, who came in a trade, led the conference with 53 catches 2 years ago and may take the heat off Holden with his flair for the big play. Another blue-chip candidate with a golden opportunity is SMU's towering Oscar Rohn. Rohn was rated the top tight end in the country by the scouting combines, but a nationwide audience saw him shine at flanker in Hawaii's Hula Bowl. He caught 7 passes and scored 3 touchdowns. Rohn is now projected at wide receiver, and with his 6'6" height, will be the largest and one of the fastest targets this side of Philadelphia's Harold Carmichael. From the draft also comes Willie Armstead, a receiver from Utah, with speed, size, and a chance to make it in the pros. A pick of unusual interest was Southern California's J.K. McKay, a receiver with great hands and a gift for the spectacular. He's rated short in size and speed, but has made the key plays in the biggest games. The Browns feel that they may have a Howard Twilley type in J.K. McKay. So with a brace of bright new receiving talent, plus a healthy Steve Holden, Mike Phipps should have ample opportunity to showcase his powerful throwing arm next season. As the recipient of new quarterback coach Blanton Collier's vast storehouse of football knowledge, Phipps should return to the form he showed in his first season as a regular when the Browns won 10 games. With the injection of youth and speed the new staff has supplied, the Cleveland offense can't help but be more explosive in 1975. The Cleveland Browns have long been something special in pro football, but no other franchise has won so often for so long. Until last year, the Browns managed to avoid the downward sweep of the pendulum that affects all teams. Now, after a dramatic turnover in personnel, hopefully the winds of change will thrust the Cleveland Browns toward a bright future to go with its proud past.